In a move that sent shockwaves through the global economy, President Trump unleashed a barrage of tariffs targeting allies and adversaries alike. This aggressive protectionist policy, implemented in April 2025, imposed a 10% baseline tariff on all imports, but Trump didn't stop there. The EU faced a hefty 20% tariff, while China was slapped with a staggering 54% tariff, a combination of new levies and existing ones. The immediate impact on the US economy was a mixed bag. While some industries benefited from the protectionist shield, American consumers felt the pinch as prices for everyday goods soared. Experts warned of a potential recession looming on the horizon, fueled by decreased consumer spending and a slump in GDP. Across the Pacific, Asian markets reeled from the impact. China, already embroiled in a trade war with the US, retaliated with tariffs of its own and threatened to restrict the export of rare earth minerals, crucial components in various high-tech industries. The ripple effect was felt throughout the region, with export-dependent economies like Vietnam, Thailand, and South Korea bracing for a significant economic downturn. The world watched with bated breath as the trade war escalated, uncertain of the long-term consequences of this global economic standoff. The European Union, initially defiant in the face of Trump's tariff onslaught, soon found itself grappling with the harsh realities of its economic vulnerabilities. While the bloc projected an image of unity and strength, the tariffs exposed deep-seated weaknesses within its member states. Germany, the economic powerhouse of Europe, found its export-oriented economy heavily reliant on the US market. With over 5% of its GDP tied to American consumers, the German economy faced a significant threat. Similarly, Ireland, heavily dependent on US exports, stared down the barrel of a potential economic crisis. France and Italy, though less exposed than their northern counterparts, were not immune to the fallout. Their reliance on US trade, albeit smaller, still posed a significant risk to their economic stability. The tariffs threatened to unravel years of economic progress, exposing the fragility of the EU's interconnected economies. The EU, despite its initial bravado, found itself in a precarious position, forced to weigh the costs of retaliation against the potential economic devastation of a full-blown trade war with the United States. The announcement of Trump's tariffs sent shockwaves through global financial markets, triggering a cascade of sell-offs and plunging stock indices into the red. European markets were hit particularly hard, with the pan-European stock 600 plummeting by 2.7%. The FTSE 100 in the UK, already grappling with Brexit uncertainties, tumbled by 1.6%. The French CAC 40 and the German DAX suffered even greater losses, plunging by 3.3% and 3.1% respectively. The impact was felt across various sectors, with retail, shipping, automotive, banking and technology stocks bearing the brunt of the sell-off. Across the Atlantic, US markets mirrored the downward trend. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average both shed 3%, with the latter plummeting by a staggering 1,200 points. The tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite suffered the most significant blow, plummeting by 5% as investors fled from riskier assets. The currency markets also reacted swiftly, with the euro surging by 1.8% against the US dollar. The British pound, buoyed by the euro's rise, gained 0.8% against the greenback. These currency fluctuations, while seemingly beneficial for Europe in the short term, threaten to further disrupt global trade and exacerbate economic uncertainties. The European Union, despite its initial tough talk and threats of retaliation, ultimately buckled under pressure, executing a humiliating U-turn on its tariff policy. The details of the agreement remain shrouded in secrecy, but one thing is clear: the EU blinked first. This capitulation exposes a fatal flaw in the EU's economic strategy: its reliance on the US market. Despite years of talk about reducing dependence on external powers, the EU remains tethered to the American economy. This dependence, coupled with internal divisions and a lack of cohesive leadership, left the bloc vulnerable to Trump's aggressive tactics. The long-term consequences of this U-turn are far-reaching. It sets a dangerous precedent, emboldening other nations to employ similar tactics against the EU. It undermines the bloc's credibility on the world stage, portraying it as a paper tiger, unwilling to stand up for its economic interests. The EU's U-turn is not just an economic defeat, it's a strategic blunder with the potential to reshape global trade relationships for years to come. It signals a shift in the global balance of power, with the US, under the Trump administration, asserting its dominance and exploiting the weaknesses of its rivals. The world watches, waiting to see who will be the next target in Trump's game of economic brinkmanship.